Hey Connor, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, Sam? How are you?
I'm good. We're getting close to the holidays and Christmas time. If you're all about that, which we are. Um, Hey, it's episode 50. Definitely the experts. We're halfway to 100. Yeah, it's great. And this will probably be the last one for 2020 with the holidays coming up. So, last one before the NFL playoffs are all set. So, last regular season one. We got a lot talked about today.
Yeah, kind of crazy how it's already the end of 2019. It doesn't feel like it's the end of the year and we're approaching 2020 already, but yeah, I guess
It sure
so.
is.
I don't know. Right, it is, regardless of how I feel. Uh, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of nuts. This year kind of went by, and I guess that's how that goes. But uh, yeah, I don't know. Feels like just yesterday I was out on the town for New Year's Eve last year, having a merry old time, and now we get to do it all over again.
Rinse and repeat. Yep. Yep. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't have any shit planned for the holidays other than just doing family stuff in the next week or
Yeah,
2 weeks. But what day of the week does New Year's fall on? Because I know, yeah, Wednesday. We were just talking about this before we started here. Wednesday being Christmas in a week and a half here is off. Just
yeah,
kind of inconvenient. I mean, it is what it is, but the whole
yeah.
everything's just going to be shut down that whole week. Oh, okay. I guess the first is on
It's
the
it,
next Wednesday.
yeah, it's a
Great.
very similar thing. So New Year's, it's just shifted back one day where New Year's Eve and New Year's Day fall on Tuesday, Wednesday as opposed to Wednesday, Thursday. So it's pretty similar. Kind of shitty in terms of federal holidays. For those of you out there who get federal holidays off, shout out to you.
Which is me.
Me
You get
too.
federal. I always can't remember. I know I haven't working on the workforce outline. I can't remember if we get Christmas Eve off.
You
I don't think we
should.
do.
Oh, you don't?
I don't think so. I think
Oh.
I remember like half bitching about that, like at Christmas to my sister or my mom or something. Just like, oh, well, I'm at my grandma's house and we're doing our usual Christmas Eve get together, and it's God damn it, I'm burning PTO to be here. Not in a bad way, but it's like I shouldn't have to. I feel like this should be a. It's
You should have it off.
is Christmas Eve not a federal holiday?
I thought it was, honestly. I swear that I get it off. Federal
I guess
holidays
now that I'm thinking about it,
2019.
I think my mom usually ends up working that morning, or she has in the past. Christmas Eve morning,
Oh, I guess it's not.
New Year's Day, MLK, Washington's. Okay, some of these are on this list here are not. Not really. Columbus Day.
Interesting.
I guess they are federal. They are technically federal holidays, but they're not necessarily recognized by the private sector.
Gotcha. Well, UW system has a list of federal or legal holidays, and I get Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, Christmas
Lucky
Day
you.
off. It's a plug for UW system.
Yup.
Sponsor us, UW.
At UW, a couple UW alums right here.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, same deal. And that's not really a terrible thing, I think, to just go home and do nothing there. I mean, it's not like my life here is like super hectic and, on the go, but it is nice to, not have to have many obligations in the way of like work and, I don't know, just having to do things with people here, get away from it for at least a week.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't think I've taken a full week since I started working a year and a half ago, but
Woof.
whatever. Doesn't fucking matter.
Well, you will now.
I will. I will. So, anyways, yeah, that Wisconsin game last week. How about it?
Yeah, so Sam and I were up in Green Bay with a couple of our other friends, and we watched the first half at a bar, and it went really well. Wisconsin was rolling on all cylinders. They went up 21-7 in the first half, and then didn't score any more points.
So that second half is about what I expected for the whole game. So the fact that that first half was not just competitive, it was a very good half. They were I don't want to throw out the dominant word, but they were the far superior team in that first half. Was a pleasant surprise, and all the more disappointing that that they kind of blue balls us there in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think dominant's too strong of a word because being up 2 scores in the second half, I mean, that last drive in particular where Jonathan Taylor just cruised down the field. I don't think it's totally out of this world to say that Wisconsin definitely had the upper hand, and then obviously some adjustments were made. Something that the commentators pointed out was that Ohio State, I think, really sold out to take away the quick slants that Wisconsin was burning them on. They dropped into a lot of zone coverage. So I don't know. I mean, that it kind of makes sense from a macro scheme sort of deal because, I mean, through the course of the season, we've seen that Quintez Cephas has been, I mean, it's kind of funny the parallels that you can draw between the Badgers and the Packers, but Quintez Cephas has been like the parallel to Devontae Adams for the Packers, where he's been the safety valve, and not having him readily available certainly caused problems for the offense in the second half. So,
yeah, and since we were watching it, between a bar and then watching it with a couple other dudes, like I wasn't able to pay as close attention as probably otherwise would, but. And they did do a good job pointing out, like, yeah, when you're trying to run those slants into, the zone that they switched to in the second half, that's tough. But you got to have some sort of zone beater pass concept in your playbook, I would think. So as much as it is like Ohio State was the better team, going into the game, and they should have won, and I don't think it's any surprise that they ended up winning. The fact that it didn't look like Wisconsin had a counterpunch to Ohio State's adjustments at halftime was disappointing, but I don't know, whatever. It was all in all, it was a better outcome than anybody anticipated going into it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the Badgers managed to lose their way into the Rose Bowl, so that's all we really wanted. So I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of like the loss. It sucks. But, I mean, there are a lot of people speculating either way. If the Badgers would have won, it's very possible they would have just ended up at the Rose Bowl anyway. So
right, yeah, because you couldn't have if they would have won. What else you couldn't go up anywhere else? They wouldn't have made the playoffs, unless they would have really blown them out. Then maybe, but just a regular old win, which would have been hard enough to do. Yeah, how are you going to do better than the Rose Bowl?
Right. So,
I don't know. The only thing that it would have made Penn State less mad about it.
Right, which, it is what it is. But, I don't know. I think that for the first half performance, they deserved a berth in the Rose Bowl. That's all I really, going into the game, was hoping for, was to not get blown out, cover the spread.
Did that.
Yeah, and hope that the committee leaves us where we're at in terms of the rankings. So that's what ended up happening, so not like overly pissed about it. Yeah, it'd have been nice to beat Ohio State in the Big Ten Championship, but Rose Bowl is not a terrible consolation prize, in my opinion.
No, not at all. If anything, it's the best bowl game other than, as far as I'm told, as far as I hear, it's the best bowl game that's not the playoffs, right?
Right.
I mean, you've been to one, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, and geez, it's a long time ago now, but yeah, it's still, even though the allure, I guess, of the Rose Bowl has sort of shifted since the college football playoff landscape has shifted away from the BCS Bowl and everything else. It's certainly different from when Wisconsin won it in like '94. it's still really cool, and it still has all of the, I don't know. I guess there's a lot more. I don't know the word I want to use for it. I don't want to say it's fancier than other bowl games because it feels the same as any other bowl game that we went to, but there's a lot more like structure, I guess, to it, and there's a lot more like the Rose Parade is a parade that it's up there with like the Macy's Day Parade. So it has
there's a lot more pageantry and
the pageantry. That's the word I wanted to use for it.
Pomp and circumstance, the whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah, there's all of that in addition to the regular bowl game material with like the pep rallies and blah blah blah, all the rah rah sports stuff. There's stuff that's affiliated just with the Rose Bowl game. So it's kind of cool just because it's everybody. It has the aura of being like a very very important game. Even though in reality it's kind of like, yeah, it's cool to say you won the Rose Bowl, but it's a bowl game at the end of the day. It takes a lot to it. Like it takes being just about the best Big Ten team, save for the college football playoff nominee in there. But it's pretty cool that Wisconsin gets to go and play Oregon again in the Rose Bowl game. Try to have a little redemption game.
From a rematch of the 2011 game, the Russell Wilson one. Well, it is kind of funny though that I'm just thinking about this just now. You're going from one kind of meme game with the Big Ten championship, and like, oh, it's Wisconsin, Ohio State. Ohio State wins this game every year, and you go to another game that's kind of turned into a meme for the Badgers as well. Oh, the Rose Bowl. Well, played 3 straight and lost 3 straight at the beginning of the decade, and now they're going back and playing Oregon again
to finish out the decade.
Yep. Time is a flat circle.
Kind of crazy. 4 in 1 decade is nuts.
I mean, of these 4 Rose Bowls this decade now, I think they had if I had to power rank which ones I feel the best about, like, I don't know, I probably felt the worst about the 2013 one that you went to against Stanford because that team is not very good.
Yeah, we really memed ourselves into a Rose Bowl that year, if we're using the word meme. Because that was the year that like Penn State, Ohio State, I think, was also banned from postseason play.
Right, so that's how you got into the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah,
which we were supposed to lose to Nebraska, which did not happen. That game was also I guess the word of the day is meme, because that was a meme game too, where they scored 70 on them.
Yeah, whoopsies. Whoa.
But I don't know. They had a shot to win that first one against TCU, and the next one against Oregon was close. I guess they were all close.
Yeah, none of them were like out of reach, but yeah, I agree. Going into the Rose Bowl game, everybody was jazzed about it, but it was, the writing was on the wall that the Stanford team was a little bit better than the Badgers just because of how fluky it was that they got into the Rose Bowl game.
Yeah, at that point you're just happy to be there. And that's not a bad place to just be.
No, not at all.
Who was on that? I was looking at this the other day. Was that 2012?
Yep.
Who was on that 2012 Stanford team?
Ty Montgomery.
It's Ty Montgomery. It was not Andrew Luck. He was gone.
Yeah, he was gone already.
Here's the roster. You got to see Kevin Hogan or Josh Nunez.
Oh, boy.
Oh, you got to see Barry Sanders. Remember him? Son of the Barry Sanders Jr.?
Barry J. Sanders?
Yes. Stephon Taylor. He was the actual primary running back, but I don't know. There's some just people on this team. Ty Montgomery. Oh, Devin Kajust. Zach Ertz. That's a guy.
Oh, we got John Flacco.
What?
Under wide receivers.
John Flacco. Is that really Joe Flacco's brother?
That'd be weird.
Well,
yeah,
whatever.
It's kind of weird, man. I don't know. There's really nobody on this team. Levine Toilolo, he's in the NFL. Zach Ertz.
Yeah, That's a pretty good one.
Oh shit! I didn't realize he was on this team.
Yeah, so well anyways, going into this game, this upcoming game against Oregon, I don't feel bad. I don't know, I feel good about the Badgers going into it. They're good. And then you're going up against a top quarterback prospect, but he hasn't looked great this year, Justin Herbert. The couple games I've seen him play a little bit, like, I don't know.
Yeah, they have. There was a lot of buzz around Justin Herbert last year at the beginning of the season with him being the top quarterback prospect. And through the course of last year and this year, he's demonstrated that he's a little bit more volatile than some of the other prospects, and particularly with the emergence of Joe Burrow, he's sort of been buried behind a number of these other names. But he's recently, there's been a resurgence around his name because of Tua Tagovailoa, his injury to his hip. There's more question marks around him and the stability for the future. So recently, Justin Herbert sort of come back into the fold with some of these quarterback prospects for the 2020 draft. But it'll be interesting. I think that Oregon, I haven't watched a ton of their football this year. I don't know, have you?
I've caught bits and pieces. I watched a good chunk of them lose to Arizona State, and he didn't look good there.
Oh, yeah. I caught that. I was in Chicago, and it was on the TV at one of the bars, and we were watching them get steamrolled by them. That was, whoa.
So, yeah, I don't know. He's still good, though. He could just be very good.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Badgers' defense is for real. The offense is more dynamic than they have been in the past with a competent air attack. So, yeah, I don't know. Sure. Badgers by 1 million.
Yeah.
They're playing a team that's not as good as Ohio State, and it's not going to. I don't think it's going to be. You're going to have a fluke Illinois game again. So,
yeah,
we can feel decent about it.
Oh, do you know he was a tight end for the Oregon Ducks?
Who's that?
Matt Mariota.
Oh, Matt Mariota, huh?
From Honolulu, Hawaii.
Yeah.
No idea if he's actually related to Marcus Mariota, but you got to think probably.
You would think so. It's too easy to make that connection. So I was just humoring myself. I was looking at tickets for this Rose Bowl game.
Oh yeah.
Or looking at before they were on sale earlier this week. I was looking at the travel packages through the athletic department, and I was like, oh. This is stupid. This is expensive as shit. Or it was like $1,500, but these are, albeit this is like a package where like, oh, you'd stay in the team hotel and you get like bus to pep rallies and shit, and you get, I don't know, some other perks that are like probably not necessary, but it was like, oh, this is like $5,000.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, wait a minute, that's $5,000 and that's only for ground transportation. You got to book your own flights, and you got to buy your own damn ticket. That doesn't even come with a ticket to the game.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, well, no.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, I was just casually looking at flights, too. Like, how much would it cost to get from, like, I don't know, Milwaukee or Chicago to LAX? And it's like,
a lot.
Too much. Too much on short notice.
Hey, you know what? Speaking of flight prices, so what I've been looking, this is not related to college football really at all. I've been looking at VPNs.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you know about VPNs, but I don't know.
Virtual public-private network.
Yeah, virtual private network. I've been looking at them for data security purposes. I'm kind of, after I possibly leave the UW and go back to school, I was thinking about trying to get a little bit better at securing my data. And so I was looking at this stuff, and I was looking on Reddit at like why people, like specifically like reviews of VPNs to get a subscription to. But I didn't realize this, but apparently VPNs are really popular for securing cheap airline tickets. because you can get different price tickets depending on where you're buying from.
Really?
Yeah, you can use a VPN to set your location to a low cost of living area and get a ticket to somewhere.
Even from the same start and end point, though?
Yeah.
Well,
Because they price them differently depending on
Oh.
like where you're located.
So if I'm located in Albania or something and I want to buy a plane ticket from Milwaukee to Dallas or something, that might be a different price than if I use just my regular browser right now without a VPN,
Correct.
without cloaking my location.
Yes. Yeah.
So the VPN pays for itself if you travel enough.
Kinda.
Does it do that with other stuff? Is there any other market that the VPN, you can trick it into getting better prices on stuff?
I'm sure you can use it for other things, but another popular thing is people use it for streaming services because you can access, streams of, well, particularly with streaming services like Netflix, there are certain things that aren't available in the United States or elsewhere.
Yeah, I remember I was watching Netflix a couple years ago with somebody, and they had it just on their laptop. I'm like, well, whatever. This show or this movie or whatever isn't available in the United States. Well, let's try Finland.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yep, there it is.
Yep. And that's the same thing with like YouTube and stuff. There's sometimes like videos there aren't permissions in a country. You can use it to access that. But yeah, I don't know about things besides airline tickets for sure. But if you can use that to your advantage, I imagine you can.
Yeah, there's probably other things. I don't know what else is as price sensitive as airline tickets that you buy online. I don't know. Sound off in the comments below. Let us know. Nothing's
Yeah,
coming
let
to
us
mind.
know some VPN benefits.
Yeah, I thought you were going with this. Like, oh, is this going to turn into a NordVPN and it'll turn into an ad read?
Yeah. Kind of, though. I'm looking at NordVPN. So, NordVPN, if you want to sponsor us, we can plug you. I'm sure you need it. Anyway, speaking of college football, we have in news here, Chase Young said today that he's returning to Ohio State for his senior season. I don't know about this. Doesn't really make any sense. It's sort of coming out of left field here. Could be just he's
Wants to finish his degree.
Yeah. Well, he's in the thick of it right now with like the college football playoff, and I'm sure his 100% of his mental capacity is on winning the national championship right now, and how much that would mean for him and Ohio State. So I don't know. I'm not really sure. This report came out, and it's from TMZ, so I'm sure some reporter just like jumped out of the bushes and found him on the street and was like, "Are you returning to Ohio State next year?"
Or he left it open-ended. Are you returning to Ohio State? And he answered, yes, I'm going back to Ohio State after my Christmas is over.
Yeah.
After the bowl game. I'll go back and have my pro day.
It's possible that he said that, and then the reporter just said yes.
No follow-up.
Yeah,
no
right.
further questions.
But yeah, I mean, like, sort of. I mean, all around here, it doesn't necessarily make any sort of sense for Chase Young to return to Ohio State for his senior season. He's projected to be a top 5 pick. He's especially if they win the national championship. I don't know why he would return.
Right. Well, I don't know. As much as I said jokingly, he wants to finish his degree. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. So
And that's entirely possible too, but you can also finish your degree later, which is what a lot of these NFL players manage to do, where they go back to school for like a summer or whatever the fuck it is they do, manage to graduate, whatever deal it is that they do in the off season.
summer term.
Yeah.
Shout out
or-
UW summer term.
Or, I mean, possibly. I mean, they probably do like a winter term And then in the off season there, I guess they could do a whole semester.
Oh, I suppose, yeah, they got all spring.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's possible, but I mean, we've seen who is the USC quarterback whose draft stock just plummeted.
John David Booty.
Maybe there's
Mark
not
Sanchez.
just one.
I don't know.
Not Mark Sanchez.
Sam Darnold.
Not Sam Darnold. It was when we were in school.
Oh, Matt Leinart.
Matt Leinart. Was that him?
No.
No,
He was
fuck.
way before us. Cody
damn.
Kessler.
Maybe it was Cody Kessler. It might have been Cody Kessler. Somebody returned, though. I swear it was from USC. And he was projected to be first-round talent. And he went back for his senior season. And let's see. Maybe it wasn't him. I'm looking at his Wikipedia right now. Anyway, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of risk for injury, and I mean,
Matt Barkley?
maybe it was Matt Barkley. I think it was. Let's see. Barkley announced he would return for his senior year rather than entering the 2012 NFL draft. It was Matt Barkley.
There we go.
Anyway, yeah, unfinished business. Yeah. So Matt Barkley plummeted to the 4th round after being thought to be a first-round selection in the 2012 draft. Ended up being a 4th round pick because the 2012 season didn't go great.
Well, that's not good for him. That's not
No.
quite going to happen to... I don't think that'll happen. I guess nobody thought it was going to happen to Matt Barkley probably, but I doubt that would happen to Chase Young. I doubt that would happen to Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I mean, Chase Young is dominating right now. I think it's just a matter of risk aversion. If you're, where do you go from being a top 5 pick?
Right, yeah, you can't go... You're draft eligible if you want to be. Your stock's not going to get any better than it is right now.
Right.
Sell high. Ring the bell.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, there's I think there was I don't remember what the metrics are now, but there's somebody posted in the wake of this a breakdown of like how much money you make just at like the 30th pick compared to like number 5. And it's the margin is pretty huge. Again, don't have any real numbers to back that up, but being the number 1 edge defender picked in the draft is a pretty big deal. Position that just about every single team wouldn't mind having, given the opportunity to select the top edge defender in the 2020 draft.
So here's so number 5 overall from this past year, according to Forbes, Devin White to the Buccaneers, total contract projected or assumed to be, I don't know what this is exactly, $29.3 million if he goes at the end of the first round. What did I say that number was? 29?
Yeah.
$10.1 million, N'Keal Harry, who was picked last in the first round. That's $19 million just in the first round, and it's only going to get worse as you get further down.
Correct.
So,
a world of difference there. 2 different positions, but yeah, like what was it, like 14 million? You said
19
million. It's a ton of money. So
$25 million from Kyler Murray, $35.2 million total contract. Yeah, down to 10, so $25 million difference. That's your delta, top to bottom, the first round from this past season.
Yikes. Yeah. So anyway, doesn't really make sense for him to go back to Ohio State, but we'll see what happens. I don't know. Games left to play still.
Yeah, please leave for the good of us, the rest of the Big Ten.
Yeah, I think it'd just be funny for those top 5 picks. Namely, like the Giants are a team that are begging for an edge defender. I mean, I think the Bengals are slated to take a quarterback number 1 overall.
Yeah, maybe that's just what it is. He's looking at those top five teams, like,
Don't like it.
I'll roll the dice and see what we get next year. It's probably not going to be any better, but
Yeah, right. I mean, every single year you're going to have a shitty team. So, I don't know, man. It's, yeah. I don't know. Like, I guess looking at it now, I guess the prospect of landing in Washington, woof.
yeah,
Yikes.
wouldn't want to be there.
No.
Like,
not
okay,
even
so
a little.
the Cardinals had the number one pick last year, but like, that's not the worst place to end up, I don't think.
I think that particularly with the fact that they fired their head coach and they were looking to restructure things again, there's at least hope for some sort of tabula rasa, clean slate effect that, like, all right, we're just starting over. You know, things are going to be nil. They were shitty this year, but they're rebuilding.
Yeah, you're gonna be out in the desert. It's warm all the time. It's a pretty low pressure NFL market.
Yeah.
Just go hang out for a little while. We'll get it figured out, and then be good, and people will care then.
Right. And I mean, their general manager, ownership team, they did pretty well in, was it the 2015 season? 2016 season, the Cardinals were.
Well, yeah, and there's a track record in recent history of them being very good,
Yeah,
which
so
helps. So yeah, you see like the Redskins, the Dolphins, the Bengals.
woof.
So
Yeah.
well, cool.
Yeah, so I don't know. We'll get into probably some more draft stuff as the college football season ends here, because that's all we have to talk about after the college football ends is the draft as it goes here, you know. So we'll get familiar with some of these dudes that are projected to go in the first round. You know, it'll be interesting to get familiar with these names. I always look forward to it because then looking back on it, it's interesting to go back into like I think the other day I went to Wikipedia just to see the first round draft selection choices, and it's like you look back and see who made an impact this year, who didn't. You know, it was like, oh, that person was supposed to go to the Packers, or that person was supposed to go in the first round, and they didn't. Particularly one name, there's the Ja'Kai Polite, who was projected to go to the Packers in the first round at first, and then his draft stock plummeted with a terrible combine and terrible interviews, and ended up being released by the Jets after being selected in the third round. And I think he's on a practice squad somewhere now. So, like, talk about a fall from grace. Like, first round projected to practice squad.
Yeah, that's always a fun thing to do. So, well, let's just do it. Kyler Murray, he's been pretty good. Nick Bosa, very good. Quinn Williams, I don't know. Colin Farrell, I don't know. Devin White, probably good. Daniel Jones is interesting. The Giants took a lot of flack for taking him where they did, not Dwayne Haskins.
Boy, did they prove the haters wrong with that one, because Dwayne Haskins looks terrible.
He's not very good. Daniel Jones isn't great by any means. Hasn't looked, but at least he's shown like, hey, there might be something there.
In the preseason, everybody was ranting and raving about him because he was easily head and shoulders above every single other quarterback, including Kyler Murray.
Yeah. Well, whatever. It's preseason.
Right. It's whatever, but it's still like, you know, you can say whatever. It's preseason. You're not playing against anybody real, but so are none of those other rookie quarterbacks.
Right.
They
True.
also aren't playing against anybody real. So they're all kind of on the same level, albeit a much lower level than actual NFL defense. But nonetheless, I mean, I think as the season has progressed here, Kyler Murray he's clearly the better quarterback. He doesn't look awesome out there all the time, but he I think looks a little bit more confident than Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, as of late, these last couple of games, before he went out with injury, were a little tough to watch, particularly his game against the Packers.
Yeah, you know, Kyler Murray also has the advantage of he's playing in a system that's tailor-made for, or he's cut from. He has a lot of experience with, which helps. But T.J. Hawkinson in the Lions, he's been good. I don't know some of these other dudes. Jonah Williams, the Bengals. That's why I don't know him.
Well, he hasn't been playing at all this year. Jonah Williams went out in the preseason, didn't play at all this year.
He could have been an All-Pro, and I would have never known because he's playing on the Bengals. And I've not watched any Bengals this year. Rashawn Gary, not great, not great so far. I'm not calling him a bust, but he's certainly smelling like one thus far.
Yeah, it was a very polarizing pick in the draft to take Rashawn Gary at number 12, particularly with somebody like Brian Burns waiting there at number 16. We needed edge in the draft, and I don't know.
Guy.
We got a dude, and I don't know. Yeah, everybody knew he'd be kind of a project. And with how he operated on the Michigan defensive line, he had Chase Winovich there. And the whole idea was that he didn't necessarily make a lot of boom plays, but he was athletic enough to draw attention of multiple offensive personnel to double team him frequently. So the idea was that he could develop into a very interesting prospect. But yeah, like you said, he's barely on the field, it feels like.
I haven't noticed him. Whatever that means. To take it for whatever that's worth, but it doesn't really seem like he's made much of any impact. So that's not great for this year, but moving forward in the next couple of years, I assume he's going to be on the team. It's like you get your bonus draft pick. You have the first round guy that, if he takes a big step forward in the offseason, which is entirely possible, and it comes back next year ready to go, that's like getting a bonus draft pick. So I'm not writing the book here on Rashawn Gary, but would have liked to see a little more so far.
Yeah, I think they've tried using him on the interior of the defensive line, and it just hasn't quite worked out. I think they really wanted to try to shift him closer to like inside backer because that's a position of need for the Packers. And I just don't think that the transition has worked out very well. Clearly
not. So I don't know. Some of these other guys, Dwayne Haskins, he looks better. Who's the other guys in the first round? Jeffrey Simmons just came back from injury, and apparently he's supposed to be really good. Noah Fant's been good for the Broncos, I guess. Darnell Savage has been very good for the Packers. He's been a nice plug-and-play safety. So it was some very encouraging stuff from him so far this season. The guy I wanted the Packers to take at 21 was Andre Dillard, the next guy off the board, tackle from Washington State. It makes me feel a little better, a little bit of the Eagles I've watched this year when he's gone in for injured Jason Peters or maybe he was playing on the right side for Lane Johnson. But yeah, Andre Dillard did not look good. He was getting steamrolled.
No, he's looked pretty rough.
So, hey, good pick, Packers.
Yeah,
good
thanks, guys.
Josh Jacobs, Marquise Brown, those are two pretty good skill position picks in the first round. Yeah,
Josh Jacobs has been he's vying for offensive rookie of the year right now. I think he is going to win it. He's been the workhorse back for the Raiders, and he's been really good. In the wake of Antonio Brown departing the Raiders, it looked like they had -2 skill position players on that team, and he alone, I think, has elevated their game significantly. It's unfortunate that the Raiders continue to use DeAndre Washington and Jalen Richard in the passing game instead of Josh Jacobs, because Josh Jacobs at Alabama was he was like an Alvin Kamara-esque back where he caught a ton of passes out of the backfield, lined up in the slot sometimes even, and they refused to use him in that capacity. But I think his yards per carry he was up in the upper echelon for a while before it came out that he's been playing through a fractured shoulder since like week 10, which is nuts. But he's been really good and a really great pick for the Raiders. Be interesting to see what happens in the future here, possibly when the Raiders can get at least one good wide receiver.
Yeah, it'd certainly help. How much I'm skipping ahead here. I'm just looking further down into the deeper rounds here of this draft, and I don't know. It's rookies. Like,
Yeah.
these names in the 5th and 6th round, like, well, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you get past like the second round, especially like, we're looking at dudes like David Montgomery in the 3rd round, Devin Singletary in the 3rd round,
DK Metcalf in the 3rd.
second.
No, 2nd.
Terry McLaurin in the 3rd.
Scary Terry.
That's right.
Chase Winovich in the 3rd. Miles Boykin for the Ravens. He's been decent.
Yeah, I mean,
Will Greer. Who cares?
yeah. Ooh.
Hakeem Butler. So, anyways, that's the draft from last year.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really tell, I guess, totally from some of these picks. You remember Kingsley Keke?
Yeah.
He's been getting some snaps lately.
Yeah, I heard his name get called last week and made a tackle.
I was just thinking before the game, I was like, man, Kingsley Keke, haven't heard his name in a while, but apparently did a couple of things in the last game, so that's cool. Yeah, I mean, obviously all these dudes are rookies, so you take it for what it's worth. Not really totally expected to make an impact this year, but obviously some people have, but it'll be interesting to see who among these people, like there obviously are already people in like the later rounds here, like Terry McLaurin, who's emerged as an upper echelon wide receiver taken in the 3rd round, and other people down here. I'm just looking real quick.
I saw Deontay Johnson's name somewhere in here from Toledo. Playing for the Steelers. He's been productive.
Yeah, or Hunter Renfrow in the 5th round.
Yeah.
He emerged as a top tier pass option for the Oakland Raiders. Let's see here.
And
Darius
some of those
Slayton.
guys, these guys are. It just might. We'll see whether they're legit dudes or they're just. Well, they just happen to be the only guys on the team.
Yeah, or Gardner Minshew in the 6th round, starting quarterback for the
value.
Jacksonville Jags.
It's a great value pick.
Yeah.
He was picked after Jarrett Stidham and other quarterbacks like Clayton Thorson in the 5th round.
Woof.
Whatever. Gardner Minshew. He's picked ahead of Trace McSorley, though.
Yeah.
Whatever.
For what that's worth. Olabisi Johnson. BC Johnson. He's starting, I think, in wide receiver sets for the Vikings because Adam Thielen hasn't been playing. He's in the 7th round. All the way down at pick 247. Woof. And some undrafted people like David Blau has been starting for the Detroit Lions. Preston Williams was undrafted. Looking like
Kobe
he's going to
Myers
be
and Duck Hodges.
Yeah.
Those are guys.
Well,
cool.
Yeah. Interesting to look at it already, but be interesting to look at it again next year. See what happens.
With the Packers, shifting out of the Packers at large, I think just the takeaway from last game is the same as the week before. The Giants game where it was, I don't know, whatever. They played a bad team and they beat them. It was a little closer than it probably should have been. Yeah, but I don't know, whatever. I'm not going to get all worried about it.
Yeah. The Redskins game was a tough game to not really watch because we were up there for Tundra Line, so it was just kind of another watching the score sort of and then imagining what has been happening on the field. And it being a close game for most of the game, it was kind of like, oh, well, were there any turnovers or things of that nature? And there were. I mean, there was a pretty bad strip sack that was like Aaron Rodgers sort of stood there and ball got taken from his hands and he just sort of stood there and ball's theirs now, I guess. And in particular, there was it wasn't like a garbage time drive, but there was a drive by the Redskins where Dwayne Haskins and Terry McLaurin just shredded our secondary. That's not like super surprising, just because I mean Case Keenum and Terry McLaurin were like tearing up the NFL for a minute, and Case Keenum isn't like an ultra quarterback or anything, but he's like kind of competent. He's pretty competent. And Terry McLaurin is, I mean, demonstrated that he belongs as, you know, up there in elite wide receiver status. He's pretty good. So watching them tear apart our secondary for that drive, it was like, yeah, I guess Kevin
We'll give
King
you
is,
one.
yeah,
Whatever. Not the end of the world.
But
it was close, but at the same time, like we were just talking about, Dwayne Haskins, like wasn't too. It was never at any point was like, oh, well, they're only up by like 10 or 5 or whatever, and not really worried.
no, Dwayne Haskins is, I mean, he's kind of a liability for the Redskins. It'll be interesting to see what they do in this offseason. There's real talk of the Redskins selecting another quarterback, which would be great. To pull an Arizona Cardinals and select another quarterback in the first round. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens with the Packers. You
got 3 division games left here. You got Bears, and then on the road at Vikings, at Lions. And right now sitting in second place for the sitting in the number 2 seed for the playoffs, which would be fantastic. So
yeah,
looking at the schedule, you put the Lions. That's a gimme. That should be a win no matter what, unless they've clinched shit and they're just fucking around that last week. But these next 2 games will be big. The next 2 games are going to decide the division.
Yeah, I mean, I think in particular this game tomorrow against the Bears, it'll be interesting to see how the Packers respond. I think that a lot of people have been giving them a lot of shit for having their secondary get exposed a little bit compared to the first part of the season when it was looking like the Packers had the real deal on the back end there. It's clear now that we don't. And I don't know how you make that, just better after a week. I don't think you can.
Yeah, they're okay.
Yeah, they're not.
Okay.
It's not. We're not looking at the Packers from 2015. We're not looking at the Eagles or some of these teams that have some real liabilities in the secondary, but particularly with the Bears coming up here, we're looking at guarding people like Anthony Miller and Allen Robinson.
It's really just Allen Robinson that worries me. Other than that, I'll take my chances with Anthony Miller one-on-one against somebody. I'll take my chances with Tariq Cohen,
right?
Gabriel, the like.
Yeah, I mean, there's people who are playing up. Like Tramon Williams has been. I give him a lot of shit for being an old man, but he's been playing pretty decent for what he's being asked to do. He's covering the slot right now. Josh Jackson got some playing time last game with injuries to, I think Kevin King was out.
That sounds right, because he was questionable this week. Well, it sounds like he's going to play tomorrow, though.
Yeah. But Jair Alexander has still been playing pretty locked down. You mentioned him earlier, but Darnell Savage has been playing great at safety, and Adrian Amos is back there as well, playing at a high level. So it's not like, we're in a terrible spot, and particularly our pass rush. Zadarius Smith has been playing out of his mind this year, generating a ton of pressure up front. So could look a lot worse, but I mean there are a lot of skeptics out there who are looking at the 10-3 record and I don't know, but I could also see the Packers winning out the rest of the season. I think that they can definitely beat the Vikings.
Yeah,
I think we can definitely beat the Bears, and then we already talked about the Lions.
Yeah, I can see 3-0 being in play, and I can see 1-2 being in play at the worst. So
yeah, so I mean, looking at
11-5,
11-5 isn't terrible.
No, well, that's better than I thought they were going to be this year.
Absolutely. I mean, we were all looking at everybody going into this year, it was like, well, just be careful because first-year head coaches haven't had a great track record in Green Bay.
Even though Matt
But
Nagy
11 and
13-3
5
last
would,
year.
yeah, right. Yeah. So either way, it shakes out. I mean,
Also, Mike McCarthy went 13-3 his first season.
oh, did he really?
Yeah, it's 2007,
Wow.
right?
I guess. I thought.
Oh no, he was here in 06. Never mind.
I thought that
Sherman was fired after 05. Strike this from the record. It's the second season he went 13-3.
Speaking of Mike McCarthy, there's reports that he's gathering a staff here to potentially snag one of these head coaching vacancies.
Okay, I was thinking about that a little bit. Like, if I'm a fan of a team that's looking for a new head coach, am I really excited about getting Mike McCarthy? I don't know. Not really.
I don't know. I think that he could do some good somewhere. Good, stable regime.
Is a professional coach, but
He won the big one.
I would. I don't know. Maybe this is just me. I like new, flashy, exciting things like hiring the hot coordinator. So whether it be Greg Roman, if you're looking to go that route, hire him away from Baltimore. If you wanted to hire, well, really, I guess if it's me, if it's up to me, I want a hot shot offensive coordinator. So there's him, Eric Bieniemy. He's my guy. That's really it. Those two.
Just those, Greg Roman, Eric Bieniemy.
Pick one. If you have a running quarterback, Greg Roman. If not, Eric Bieniemy.
I could see Mike McCarthy going to the Browns.
Yeah, that's everyone was trying to make that connection last season because there's so much. A lot of the front office has ties to Green Bay, and there's a lot of former Packers players on that team. So
I could see it
wouldn't
happening
be
again because I could
surprising.
definitely see Freddie Kitchens getting his ass fired.
Yeah.
Terrible, man.
Yeah,
I watched a good Brett Coleman video on the Browns, and it was great because it was like a really long video with a lot of analysis, of course. But at the end of the day, it was what essentially happened in Cleveland was Freddie Kitchens came in, replaced Hugh Jackson, instituted a slightly different offense that focused more on quick drop passes for Baker Mayfield because that's what he excelled at with when he was at Oklahoma. Had a lot of success there. His completion percentage skyrocketed. Took almost no sacks through the course of from that point to the end of the season in the 2018 season. And this year, with the addition of Odell Beckham Jr. In the wide receiver set, he tried to go back to exploring, he got cute with it and tried to open up the playbook and institute more deep pass options because, we have OBJ. He's good. You can just bomb it out to him. High octane offense, blah, 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 whatever. That didn't work, and I think in week 10, there was a shift in their scheme to, essentially revert back to what he was doing previously with Baker Mayfield. And it's been slightly better. And that's why you see Jarvis Landry in particular, his production has jumped up quite a bit because the quick slant and comeback routes are more of his wheelhouse, being the slot receiver guy from Miami. And Kareem Hunt has also exploded onto the scene since his return from suspension. He's been the third receiving option in Cleveland there, and he was known for being the pass-catching back in Kansas City, so having more of the quick drop passes in Cleveland, it's essentially what he did last year. He made the same offensive change, and it's just doing that after 10 weeks of being bad, though,
Yeah, and that sounds all great and all to try. You got this new shiny toy and want to be able to play with it in Odell Beckham and explore that vertical passing game a little bit. But it's a crime that it took you 10 weeks to relearn the same lesson from last year.
And now he just wants to leave.
Yeah,
So, great job.
you did it.
You got Odell Beckham Jr. to leave after being on a team with his college teammate.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, not good. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Freddie Kitchens gone. Wouldn't be surprised if Pat Shurmur's got to go. Pat Shurmur's bad.
oh man, dude, yeah, it's super disappointing to watch the Giants just like be bad under Pat Shurmur.
Yep,
Another
he's probably
Vikings
gone.
OC head coach just
Yeah. Dan Quinn's his seat's cooled down a little bit, but I think he's still got to go.
yeah, I mean, their defense is and it's funny because they had a resurgence, but it happened after he gave up defensive play calling duties.
Right.
So, like, it's like, on one hand, great that you're doing a lot better, but it's because you stopped doing your job.
they're doing better now in spite of you.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, double-edged sword there a little bit. A little bit of a kamikaze move, I'd say. They're doing better because you're doing less. Like, okay, well, how about you just do even more less and
What? Leave.
stop being the head coach?
Don't even show up. Don't even bother. We got it.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a time, there's a clock on the amount of time left for Matt Ryan and Julio Jones there. So when you have one of the best quarterback wide receiver tandems in the NFL, you gotta make some moves, man.
Yeah. So, who else is on the hot seat? Who else is going?
Ron Rivera got fired. We already talked about that.
Yep, he's gone. Adam Gase.
Man, he should get fucking fired, but he won't.
I'd fire his ass.
Oh my god, dude, it's so it's super disappointing because it just watching the Jets play football is like pulling teeth, and I think it's because I have a fantasy asset on my team. I just get pissed off because it's how much they're underutilizing Le'Veon Bell in that game, and like how putrid that offensive line is. It's just like, goodness gracious, Le'Veon Bell like stomped his way to a 4.1 yards per carry against the Baltimore Ravens, which is just like insane because the Baltimore Ravens have been playing out of their mind this year. And watching Le'Veon Bell just work his magic and push his way like every single time they gave him the ball, and then he goes and does something like that, but next week, watch, they're going to give Bilal Powell like 10 carries.
They're gonna try and get Ty Montgomery involved in with some jet sweep action.
Oh my god, every single time Ty Montgomery got the ball against the Ravens is like, why? Like, why is he getting any carries? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Anyway, yeah, their team too, it just like the pieces there, just you hate it. You hate to see it. I don't know. Yeah, he's probably not going to get fired. There's already reports out that the general manager he's in love with Adam Gase. It's great.
I don't know why. I don't get it.
In particular, it's been great to watch Ryan Tannehill explode onto the scene after not being contained by the Gase system. Yeah, he's been experiencing a little bit of a revival here, a little renaissance, a little Tannehill-sance.
This AFC South thing is pretty wild because now it's like the Texans look like they were, they might be a first round bye team, and now,
they might not make the playoffs.
Yeah, they lost the Raven. No, I'm looking at the Bills right now. I'm looking at the wrong team. Yeah, okay, like the Texans, they're not bad. They've gone lose one, win two, lose one, win two, lose one, win two, the whole season. So they're 8-5. That's fine. But like this Titans team that came out of this hot Titans team right now, and they're tied. And they play twice in the last 3 weeks. So yeah, the playoffs are very much in question for the Texans, even though they look like a Super Bowl contending team possibly.
Yeah. Well, in particular, the Houston Texans defense has just not been playing very well, man. You know, they just got stomped by Drew Lock and Noah Fant.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, not a great look, but I mean, like you said, it's kind of like a paradox because they were able to contain the Patriots. You know, they played fine against the Colts. But then, yeah, the week previous they got stomped by the Ravens.
Yeah, that was the big one. They got stomped there. They were hung in there with the Chiefs, which was like, oh, okay, well, this seems okay, right? But yeah, that that Ravens game was an ass kicking.
Yeah, and then, like you said, Titans are feeling red hot with Ryan Tannehill playing at the quarterback position. All of a sudden, their offensive woes have gone away, so it's like, I don't know, pretty clear that Marcus Mariota was the problem all along.
Yeah, in like the last 4 weeks, they're like the number one explosive offense in the NFL.
Yeah.
In terms of scoring, they've in the last 4 weeks against the Chiefs, they scored 35, 42 against Jacksonville, 31 against the Colts, 42 against the Raiders. So since Tannehill's been, I don't know when Tannehill took over, but the last 4 weeks, their lowest point total has been 31. That's pretty good. That'll get it done.
Yeah, pretty good offensive production. And then week 16, they play Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has been on the upswing as well for some reason. I don't really know how or why. What?
Who plays Tampa Bay?
The Texans.
Oh, Texans. I'm looking at... Okay.
And, I mean, that's just sort of scary because you're looking at you're staring down the barrel of Jameis Winston. And when your secondary has been underperforming, and you're staring at a guy who has nothing left to lose, and he will throw the ball 40 times, and every single time it'll go down the field, regardless of losing Mike Evans, like Jameis Winston will throw it to Brashad Perriman 90 yards down the field. He doesn't care. Like, sees a guy down there.
O.J. Howard, but...
Yeah, right. Got a perfectly good tight end here. He's been getting utilized a little bit more. He probably will get some more production now that Mike Evans is out for the year. But, yeah.
Well, that's a pretty good segue because that's your guy. Jameis Winston is your fantasy. Your crutch? No. Your vice, maybe?
He's my fantasy soul.
He's your quarterback that you have, and you just have him.
That you love to hate. It is. Yeah.
You roll the dice and you get a number. You get something from him.
Yeah. I'm absolutely on the live by Jameis, die by Jameis train right now. And that's, in particular, this week, it's very true because he's set to play, but he suffered a thumb injury, and Mike Evans is also not out, so there's even more, if you could believe it, there's even more risk to playing Jameis Winston this week than before. So... that's great.
Well, if anything, maybe that he's hurt now, he won't just chuck it down the field the whole time. Somehow, in some convoluted way, being a little dinged up and missing his top receiver is a good thing.
I think it's a terrible thing. I think that, if anything, the only value Jameis gets out of playing the way that he does is by chucking it down the field relentlessly and with reckless abandon. He turns the ball over a billion times, but that's the only way he's a valuable fantasy asset is by being a terrible quarterback. When he plays it safe, which he did against Jacksonville, he got 9 points. So I need, particularly against the Lions, who are terrible, I just need him to chuck it down the field to Chris Godwin and Brashad Perriman. Great. So yeah, fantasy semifinals this week, going up against Calvin. It was a rough one on Thursday. I was in a pinch, and I didn't know whether or not to sit Le'Veon Bell. He didn't perform incredibly well, but he had probably one of his best rushing performances of the season with 21 carries, 87 yards, 2 receptions, 4.1 yards per carry, which was his best on the year. So that was good. It made me feel good in a spiritual sense. He didn't play. He got me 10.8 points, which isn't terrible, but it's not really what you want when you're going up against Lamar Jackson, who threw for 5 touchdowns. best scoring performance of the year. However, the Jets managed to scream their way down the field and take away some points from the Ravens. They finished. Calvin played the Baltimore Ravens defense, which at first glance made me very worried because the Jets are a bad football team. However, the Jets managed to put up 21 points on them, which was kind of nuts. And watching it at first, I don't know if you watched the game at all. Did you watch that Jamison Crowder, the first pass into the end zone that he just dropped?
He was wide ass open and he dropped
Oh my God! I just about threw my remote at the TV because I was like, "Fuck you, Jamison Crowder! That's points."
Yeah. Then he atoned for it on the very next snap. Right?
Yeah, right. He somehow miraculously had one of the most impossible catches of the season on Marlon Humphrey. Like, did that, but like the play right before, he dropped a wide ass open ball.
Yeah, getting too fucking worried about being on the sideline.
Yeah. So, I mean, could have been worse. Still in contention. Could have, I mean, if the Ravens defense would have held the Jets to anything under 21, I'd have been looking at a much worse spot here, I think. But for now, we're still in contention. There's still a lot of games here left to play, obviously. I don't know. In particular, I am in a little bit of a pickle at my flex position because DJ Chark suffered an injury last week. He is out, and that was my smash play, DJ Chark against Oakland. So that was a little bit of a bummer. So now we're looking at flexing Emmanuel Sanders, Courtland Sutton, Raheem Mostert, or Kareem Hunt, or even Christian Kirk. Also picked up Dion Lewis because it looks like Derrick Henry might not play against the Texans.
Yeah, we were talking about this a little bit yesterday. I like the Kareem, for the flex spot there, Kareem Hunt and Courtland Sutton. But, yeah, there's a lot of different ways you could slice that.
Well, what I learned this week is apparently Kansas City has one of the best pass defenses in the country right now.
Oh yes, I see. They're at KC is in red.
Yeah. As it turns out,
we'll play Emmanuel Sanders then.
Yeah. I think so. I really want to play Kareem Hunt against the Cardinals. I am just, oh man. I'm worried about picking the wrong. I know I need to not be worried about picking the wrong guy because it's just fantasy football, but man, I want to win.
Yeah, I think Kareem Hunt's the play.
I think so too. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see how that shakes out. On the other side, we have Finch and Alexis duking it out. I don't think any of them have played yet, but I don't know. It's a much different landscape even from like a couple weeks ago. We have Finch here playing Patrick Laird.
Oh, yikes!
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Had Jamison Crowder on his bench, so that's unfortunate.
Man, his still his receivers though. He looks pretty good with Chris Godwin, Michael Thomas, Keenan Allen, and DK Metcalf. That's nothing to thumb your nose at there. Ooh, but Alexis has A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
The very dynamic receiver for the Tennessee Titans.
Guy who's blown onto the scene here last couple of weeks. I mean, looking at her running back situation, I think that is an easy counter to Finch's wide receiver set. She's playing Aaron Jones, Phillip Lindsay, and Dalvin Cook. Ooh. So we'll see how that shakes out. I don't know. It'll be nice when fantasy football's over and I can stop listening to so much fantasy football podcast material.
My fantasy season ends this week. I am playing for 7th place. I'm not coming in dog shit last, which is good. But I guess I kind of forgot to not play the Jets defense this week. So
Oh, you play the Jets defense this week.
yeah, whoops. Actually, so I'm saddled with a solid 2 points from that.
They're in the green though.
Yeah, it wasn't negative points. Could have been worse.
Yeah.
Justin Tucker missed an extra point, which sucks.
Oh yeah, he definitely did. And Ben didn't play Mark Ingram. Small miracles.
Well, whatever. Who cares?
Right, playing for 7th place.
Deebo Samuel's going to go off. Oh, or Devontae Parker.
Oh man, Devontae Parker.
Latest news. Devontae Parker gets a 4-year extension.
$40 million.
Good for you, Devontae.
He actually would be a smash play, I think, because the Giants just released Janoris Jenkins.
Oh, that's right. What did he do? He tweeted something, didn't he?
He called somebody the R word
Oh,
on Twitter.
I had to think about what that was. I was like, you called them Redskins?
No.
Yes.
Which, like, it's kind of like I watched that or I saw it, and it's like, are we in the 7th grade? I haven't heard somebody actually use that word in a long. And then his excuse came out. I was like, that's hood speak, and it's like, shut the fuck up. It's not. It's how we talk in the hood.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, it's possible, I
know.
guess. I don't know what it's like, but I feel like it's more like that's how we spoke in high school.
Yeah, I haven't been down to. I'll have to pay the hood a visit. I haven't been down there in a while.
Hey, y'all use this word down here?
Conducting some research for science.
So anyway, fantasy football, that is we're very quickly coming to an end here. We'll have a champion soon enough in our league. Yeah.
Cool. That's all I got.
Yeah. I mean, not a whole lot to it. We'll see what happens. I've played with the idea of trying to join like a keeper league.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
I think that'd be interesting.
Well, like any of it, it's fun if I win.
Yeah, right. Fun if you have a good draft.
Yeah, like shit. Yeah, if you get into a keeper league and you get saddled with a shit draft, and that's a long time you're just stuck with that garbage. Yeah, we should try and do that.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun. I mean, we could even convert our current league to like a keeper league. I think that I'd want to redraft so that everybody knows what pieces they're taking.
Oh yes, I would have.
But it's kind of cool.
Yeah, like I would have done things very, very differently throughout. I would have maneuvered very differently.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's and trading like draft picks actually matters too in like keeper leagues, because then it's like, okay, well, you trade this, but you're trying to like, obviously it means a lot more in keeper or dynasty than in redraft.
Yeah, like the trading draft picks in just a single season draft doesn't really make any sense. We did it
really
just to do it for the novelty of it, but it's like, well, what the hell? Yeah, if we could trade future draft picks, yeah, then that's fine.
I guess while we're talking about doing things for the novelty of it, I just want to say that there are a lot of things that I regret about this season, and trading as frequently as I did is definitely one of them.
See, that was the thing, weren't you most excited for with being in a league with people you actually know, was like, oh, we can actually do some trades.
I know nobody fucking traded anything, which I should have expected, and I got really antsy about it, so I tried to institute a lot of bullshit all the time through the course of the entire season. Like, I think every week I would just ping every single person for a trade just to get some action. And it was my undoing.
Well, not yet it isn't.
Not yet, but looking at it, man, my team would have looked a lot better if I just would have not done anything.
Yeah,
looking at a team with Josh Jacobs and Joe Mixon instead of, Christian Kirk.
Hey, Christian Kirk, that's a good keeper pick.
I know. And he had a big game, so I don't know. I got what I wanted out of him. I won big in the week that I needed him. So I don't know. It is what it is. There's no way to predict something like Joe Mixon having a resurgence or Le'Veon Bell just getting criminally underutilized in the New York Jets offense. I don't know. It is what it is. Or DJ Chark getting injured. Can't predict that. But yeah, I don't know. In any case, I think having Keeper League it's interesting, and I think more suits the play style of just about everybody in the league, which is to just like not trade anything. Just keep your people forever. This is my team forever. Yeah. I don't know if you caught it, but it was in the grand scheme of everything happening the other week with Ben dropping his whole team. Cheech was trying to trade for Mark Ingram after the trade deadline was well past. He's like putting offers in the chat, and it's like, you can't. Like there's like the button isn't even there anymore.
Not allowed.
No, it's the whole reason that you have a trade deadline is so that you can't do this when you're out of the playoffs. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, cool. Very cool.
So that's that. Got another Packer game tomorrow, so we'll give some updates for that. But like Sam said, I think this is the last one for the year. So been a solid 2019. For those of you listening to Definitely the Experts, we'll see you next year.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Kwanzaa, Shalom, Happy New Year. Bye.